certainly no expert. Who are some of the guys to watch this particular year in the USF 2000 series?
I think Garrett Grist with Andretti, and some of these are assuming.
Right.
The one crazy thing with Monster Road to Indy is that sometimes you see some people stay an extra year in a series that you wouldn't expect.
Right.
And you also see some people jump up because they have the funding.
Right.
They may jump to a series that maybe their results haven't indicated that would be the case,
Right.
So on some of that's true here. But Garrett Grist won a race at the Mid-Ohio last year, drives for Andretti, so obviously the equipment's good. I think if he stays at the F2000 level this year, that could be a very interesting name to watch. Ken Cindric's son, Austin. 2 years ago, he was racing Legends cars.
Yep.
He didn't have the greatest results this year, but he was learning open wheel cars after having driven Legend cars on the ovals. And he improved as the season went on. So I'm actually interested to see Austin kind of make a break year for Austin Cindric this coming year to see how he continues to adapt to that car.
Okay. Well, we're gonna switch gears here. You got a book coming out, brother, which is quite an accomplishment. And I know that this was a project that ran a few years, and I guess as a writer, I can sort of sympathize, but I guess the first thing is sort of take us through the process. What sort of started you writing a book about Lloyd Ruby? I know with books, for example, especially nowadays, that there's always sort of a time where I imagine you probably thought of, maybe I'm not going to continue on with this. The whole publishing. Just sort of take us through the whole process of writing a book, getting it published, and it will be, I guess it goes on sale next month here.
Yes, it's actually available for pre-order now through racemaker.com or coastal181.com. Shipping will be available for Christmas. Should ship out the first week of December.
Okay.
The books are getting shipped over right now as we speak. This was a labor of love. I grew up in Wichita Falls, which is obviously Lloyd Ruby's hometown.
Okay.
And met him as a young child, and really nice guy. So he signed a hero card for me. I've still got it up on the wall. Kind of planted the seed. And as I went on and saw the way Lloyd was remembered, even in Wichita Falls, everyone always just focused on the fact that he didn't win the Indy 500.
Right.
The horrible luck that he had there. But as I learned more about the man and grew in my racing knowledge, and saw that he'd won the 24 hours of Daytona twice, that he'd won the 12 hours of Sebring, that he'd won well over 100 midget races back when midget racing was one of the preeminent forms of motorsport in the country. And it just saddened me that he wasn't given the credit that he deserved for that.
Right.
So I just had a thought one night laying in bed that I wanted to write a book about him and tell the whole story of his career and talk more about some of the sports car stuff, some of the midget stuff, and the IndyCar racing that he did, in addition to just having the bad luck at Indy there.
Right.
And then obviously nowadays the hurdle is finding a publisher, and
yes.
I wasn't sure how that would go.
Right.
I wrote the book since it was my first book. I didn't figure there was much use in sending out a sample chapter and action for a publisher, so I actually wrote the entire book, and then started my search for a publisher.
Okay.
And Joe Freeman at Racemaker Press was on board almost immediately after seeing it. So I can't thank those guys at Racemaker Press enough. People go to www.racemaker.com. They've got quite a good selection of books that they try to focus on some of the aspects of racing that haven't gotten covered in other places, so that they can really give people the idea of some of the names that kind of get lost through time there.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to this. Just in knowing that I was going to talk for you, I did some research on Lloyd Ruby, and you're right. He's a total throwback in that the midgets, the sports cars, the Indy cars. And we probably do put too much of a premium on whether you won the Indy 500 or not. I mean, Michael Andretti was one of the best drivers I ever saw. Never had just rotten luck at Indianapolis. But no, this should be a very, very interesting story. And another thing I want to ask you is that you're talking about Lloyd Ruby grew up in Wichita Falls. He's remembered there. It seems to me with IndyCar that, and I don't want this to come off as though I'm not bad mouthing anybody, but is that you don't necessarily have a lot of these guys that are connected at the grassroots level like you used to. And I'm wondering if that's something that the sport really needs to address in that a lot of times, and part of it is going to be the ladder system improving that, but a lot of times, these guys that drive IndyCar just literally appear out of nowhere. To American race fans, hardcore race fans know him, but Mikael Elation the other day basically appeared out of nowhere. And I'm wondering if that is something that really needs to be addressed. In other words, there aren't any Lloyd Rubies anymore. Would that be a fair statement?
I think it is. There's that connection to the average race fan that in the time period that Lloyd and Al and Bobby Unser, Mario Andretti, guys like that raced,
right?
The financing wasn't the entire issue like it is now for so many. Everybody that made it back then made it on just pure talent alone, and there was a lot of connection to local race series. People worked their way up, and the only way that you got to the higher series was through success. Guys like Lloyd were obviously very down-to-earth people.
Right.
Lloyd, one of the most down-to-earth people you would have ever met. So he was just very relatable.
Right.
Fans. And I think some of that's lost nowadays just through the economics of the sport, at the team level and at the driver level, what they're required to bring with them nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different thing. That's the way it is now. I don't think it's never going to change now. It just costs too much money to race and to put these budgets together. It's just the nature of the beast now.
Yeah.
But I think that end of it has hurt a little bit. That you don't see people able to kind of run something out of their garage and show up and run with the big boys. Right.
Like for example, Graham Rahal and Marco Andretti. Now I want to be clear. I've found Graham very helpful at races, and I've enjoyed speaking to him. I had lunch with Marco Andretti this summer. But if you just use those guys as examples, like the average guy doesn't relate to somebody who grows up the son of or the grandson of an Indy 500 winner. It's almost inherently they don't have that connection of working their way up, and then like you say, and again, that's not their fault. I'm not hammering them at all. It's just it's sort of like Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti may not have been as popular and as romanticized as their fathers, just because, in other words, they just inherently cannot have that connection to sort of the grassroots level, and but yeah, it's sort of these Lloyd, like a Lloyd Ruby type is they are sort of they're almost sort of an extinct species in a sense. But this is going to be interesting. We're gonna pre-order this, and we'll definitely get back to you on the book. I'm looking forward to reading it.
I think people will enjoy it. We worked real hard with Racemaker for the layout of the book. I wanted it to really be a kind of a showpiece book.
Right.
It is kind of a coffee table style book.
Right.
It's about 312 pages, and we managed to pack about 280 photographs into it.
Okay.
We've got color and black and white photographs. It's all glossy pages. I think I'm most proud. We put a lot of work together and talked with a lot of different folks, a lot of race historians, to piece together Lloyd's racing history the best we can. Mm-hmm. And have all the race results that I've been able to find for him going back to even to his midget racing days. I've got a very complete statistical reference for him as well. including his time with Indy and Indy cars and all that. So I'm very proud of the book, and I hope people like it, and I think they will. And I'm anxious. I still haven't got a copy myself because they're still on the way over, but looking forward to everybody getting their hands on it, and I hope everybody will let me know what they think.
Okay, well, I definitely will. Yeah, everybody, again, that's racemakerpress.com, and
it's Racemaker. It's Racemaker Press, but the website is Racemaker, all one word.
Okay.
It's racemaker.com.
Okay. All right, and John, we appreciate you taking your time to join us. We love the insight on the ladder, and best of luck with the book, and we'll be in touch.
That sounds great, Brian. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. I want to thank John Lingle for joining us. Okay, wish him the best of luck with Hard Luck Lloyd. Okay, and we appreciate John's insights on the Mazda Road to Indy. What we're going to do this segment is we're going to talk about the IndyCar silly season. We talked about Mikel Elation earlier, signing with Schmidt Peterson Motorsports. Mikel Elation of SMP Motorsports signing with Schmidt SPM Motorsports. Got that, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably going to confuse some people. And of course, Sam has the past few years, kind of constantly changed acronyms on us. So anyway, looking at the silly season right now, IndyCar is actually sort of ahead of where they normally are in terms of settling seats and such. This is what I count, is IndyCar has thus far, if you look at the list, IndyCar has 15 leader circle entries secured, okay? And the 15 leader circle entries that have so far been secured are the 4 Andretti, 2 Ganassi. Remember, Kanaan is not a leader circle entry. 2 Penske, Montoya is not a leader circle entry. 2 Schmidt, 1 Rahal Letterman Lanigan, sponsor stuff up in the air. 1 KVSH, 1 Sarah Fisher Hartman, 1 Ed Carpenter, split by 2 drivers. I'm counting 1 Dale Coyne because Dale Coyne told me that Justin Wilson was going to be with him, even though he had yet to pick up the option. He told me that. I mean, so I'm going to count Wilson at Coyne. Okay. Now, here's where it gets a little, I think, tricky. Is Dragon Racing also has a leader circle entry. All indications are Dragon Racing is not. There's a good chance Dragon Racing may not return in 2014. If Dragon does not return, I presume that Brian Herta Autosport will get that leader circle entry. And while I have everybody here, I did not mention there's one more leader circle entry. Okay, is the Foyt. Okay, I didn't mention Foyt, but that Herta or Dragon spot, whichever it goes to. Okay, that'll be the 22nd leader circle entry. Okay, 15 leader circle seats have been filled. That means 7 are remaining. Now, here are the 7 that I assume are remaining. The second coin car, the 18, that could be a timeshare. The second KV, there has been no news there. Although with Elation signing at Schmidt, I'm wondering if that's going to be Karam. Brian Herta Autosport Dragon 1, I think that's going to be Luca Filippi. The second Rahal car, the 16, Panther, the number 10 Ganassi, the number 14 Foyt. Let's go through them one by one. Okay, let's start here with Foyt. It's been presumed that it's going to be Takuma Sato. Sato has great funding with Honda, and Sato won the race this year. I've always thought, the thing with Sato is that you can slow fast people down. You cannot speed slow people up. I thought that Sato made great progress at Rahal that one year. I would have liked to have seen Sato stay at Rahal and kind of seen that whole thing out, have a teammate and such. I personally, again, I like Sato. I think he can get in the car and go fast on a random day, and you can't say that about everybody. The problem with Sato is I'm not paying for his crash damage. I'm not paying for him, wrecking 2 cars a weekend. So I can see how Sato, again, I like watching Sato. But I'm not writing the checks for him to go race, and I'm not paying for his broken wings and his, and him running over the back of Ryan Hunter-Reay and all that. Like, I'm not paying for that. So I can see how Asano kind of wears people out, if you will. The flip side with Foyt is